Northgard. Is it worth a buy? Let's read the words of the developer. Northgard is a strategy game based on Norse mythology in which you control a clan of Vikings vying for control of a mysterious newfound continent. So what is Northgard? Well, it's a settler's wannabe. That's pretty much what it is. It has some great features, but it also has some shite features. It's a great shit game, guys. That's what this is. It's a fantastic game that's utterly shite. And I'll tell you why. The best Settlers game ever is Settlers 3. Settlers 2 was good, mind, but Settlers 3 just wins. That's not up for debate. Settlers 3 was the best ever Settlers game. And nothing has come out since then that can beat it. I don't know why. Why are we sitting here in 2017 with a lot of games trying to be like Settlers, but like none of them being anywhere near as good as Settlers? Were Blue Byte magicians or something back then? I don't know. They seem to be able to make great worlds and stuff, and I don't mind procedurally generated worlds as long as the right code's been put in, the right data, so that we can get a balanced map. And Settlers 3 did that brilliantly when you played a random scenario and you would get a good balanced map. But in this, I'm always running out of something, or it's guarded by ridiculous things. Anyway, I'm going to go into how you play the game. You start off with a townhouse, like you do in Settlers, and that produces villages, Settlers. Like in Settlers. I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to say like Settlers for every freaking thing. But anyway, you then have to build a woodcutter's hut to chop down wood because you need wood to build buildings, like Settlers. You then need food. So how do you get food? Well, you have to build a farm, like in Settlers. The problem with this game is you can only build it on a certain farmy tile. You've got all this land, all this lovely green lush land, but you can't build a farm on it. It has to be what's called fertile land, and the fertile land in this game looks like an actual sand pit. It's rather odd. Yeah, I don't get that. The fertile land looks like a sand pit, but the non-fertile land looks lush and green. So you can only build that on certain land. You can also build hunters that will hunt deer, and you can only build them where you can see deer, which is fair enough. But in Settlers, you could build anything anywhere you liked. It just wouldn't work if there wasn't any of the resource required. But there's no depth in this. Whereas in Settlers, you would have to build a wheat field, and then a windmill to grind the wheat into flour, then a baker to make the flour into bread. But you'd have to make a well to get the water to draw that up to mix with the flour to make the bread. I mean, it was so in depth. We don't have any of that now. It's just no. You get food off that field. I think you just pull the ears of corn and just eat them, or the wheat and just eat raw wheat, because there's nothing else that you get harvested. It's the same with the hunter. He just hunts everything, but there's no butcher like there is in Settlers that actually chops up the meat and prepares it and gets it all cooked. None of that. So it's the same with the mining in Settlers. You had to prospect the mountains to find the coal. You had to find the iron. You had to find the stuff, and here you don't. It's just like there's a stone thing there, build next to that and you'll get stone. There's an iron thing there, build next to that and you'll get iron. And you kind of run out of these resources rather, which kind of pissed me off, because the maps, because of the way that the game is, procedural generation doesn't work that well with this. It really doesn't. The maps I want more control over my maps. I want to set how much resources is on the maps, and I just can't. You've got literally no control over the maps. Mind, it is early access, and I have heard that is a feature that's coming, that you can have a bit more control over the maps. But it isn't in here yet, which is a bit of a shame, because you need it. But anyway, back to the game. Enough comparing it to Settlers. So you've got to build up your little economy system, like in Settlers. And that allows you to produce a surplus of things, and you can then trade your surplus, like in Settlers, to other factions in the actual game. I mean, there's one called the and they're giants, and you can trade with them food. They like food, and if you trade enough food, they will join you. Unfortunately, hell will freeze over before you've given them enough food to actually join you. It's ridiculous, the times. It's you can build fishermen, like in Settlers, You can also build a dock and launch your boats, like in Settlers, and they will bring in extra resources, like in Settlers. So there's a lot of things that you can do. What I do like about this game is the seasons. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun. You get the sun. The sun brings out the crops. The crop production goes into the plus. If you look at the top of the screen, you'll see all the little things. You've got the first one is how happy everybody is. Then you've got the food. And then you can see what it is. It's money, wood, and all the rest of it. And essentially, you've got to stock up for winter. And I like that because when winter comes, it can be just a fair winter, you know, where crop production's down, so that you have to prepare that it might even go into the minus, you know, depending on how many settlers you've got. And you can also get really bad savage winters where there's blizzards and stuff, and your food production can go heavily into the minus and you can all die. And I love that. That is a nice touch to the game. It really makes you prepare for winter. And I like that. You can't seem to slow it down, but maybe you can. But I couldn't find a way of slowing down the actual seasons because I thought it was a bit fast. And yeah, I didn't quite like that. But anyway, you start surviving the years. You start building up your settlements. You start expanding. Now, remember in Settlers, you would have to build a tower at the edge of your land, and that would allow you to increase the map, essentially. It's all fog of war, you can't see. Well, this is... It's made into zones, guys, and you have a scout, like in Settlers, who goes out and he will scout into the different zones, and there might be wolves in one, monsters in another, and eventually on the map you'll come across the other AI that you've set out. You can either have 0, 1, 2 or 3 other AI players in the game, and they're out there somewhere. The maps aren't that big. They're not as big as Settlers, definitely not as big as Settlers, and that's another shame. But you do expand, and each little zone that you expand into, you can build new buildings on. Now, this is the bit I don't like. You are limited to how many buildings you can build in each zone. For example, your start zone only allows 5 buildings, and that's not enough. But worse than that is the adjacent ones that you get are generally only 2 or 3. I've never found any that can support more than 3 yet. All I know is that it's a fucking arse on micromanaging buildings. Oh, I've got to delete that now to build this, because you might have like a stone piece on this new place, but you need a house, and there might also be deer there, so you need a hunter's hut, you need a house because you've got nowhere else to build a house, and if you don't build a house you can't get more settlers. Sorry, did I call them settlers? Villagers. But you need to mine the stone, so what you got to do is destroy one of them later on. So what you do, you build the stone one first. When the stone's all mined, you then destroy the stone hut and build a bloody house there. It's so just... Why is that? Why can't the map be like Settlers? Why didn't you just make Settlers 3, mate? Why? Anyway, let's move on. Right, no more Settlers talk, guys, because this is nothing like Settlers, really. It's like a significant dumbed down version of Settlers for 3-year-olds. That's pretty much the best way I can describe this game. It hasn't got anywhere near the depth of... Max, stop going on about Settlers. Right, no more Settlers. I will not mention Settlers anymore. What you do get in this game that you don't get in Settlers, damn, is as you progress through the game, you get perks. Why wouldn't you get perks? These perks are called... Okay, that's what they're called. And what you do is you have 3 different areas of these. You have them there on your screen, and you can unlock them as you go, and they will give you bonuses. Like they'll for example, your I need to call them settlers. Your people will consume less food. Your soldiers will consume less food in the summer. Your foresters will get more wood. Your miners will get more stone and more iron and things like that. So these are little perks that affect generally everything. You know, from how hard you guys hit, from how much food they use, from how many resources they get. Now you can also upgrade your buildings like you can in that other game that we're not allowed to mention anymore. So you upgrade all your buildings starting with the town hall, and you can build silos to store your grain and stuff in, like you can in that other game. But what you can get in this game that you don't get in the other game that we're not allowed to mention is events. Events happen. For example, I got a rat infestation, which meant I think it was minus 30 food production unless I had silos, and it was just awful. I think I died. I think they actually killed my settlement. I think we all died of starvation in that horrible winter that came after that. I just couldn't sustain it. It was just awful. So I love that. I love that there's events like that. It's not a bad game, guys. I'm not going to say it's a bad game, because it just isn't. It's an early access game, and I'm having great fun in it. It's really good. Starting a brand new game, starting off with just your little hut, building it up to a big thriving settlement, building a little army, and they are little armies, guys. Little, I mean, like, the biggest army I've ever had was 5 men, and you can build like a warlord, Olaf McBollock Kicker or something, you know. He's like your clan leader, and you assign all the guards to him. But there was another game that I played a long time ago, which I'm not allowed to mention, and you had huge battles in that, huge battles, and you just don't get it in this. It's just it's all right. I mean, I don't know whether to thumb this up or down. I'm enjoying it, and it is kind of worth a buy in an awful parallel world to this, where you've never had settlers. You know, that's the trouble with this is the trouble with my channel, guys. I've played amazing games. I've seen things that some of you have just never ever comprehended. I've seen games like this with hundreds of men, massive villages, proper production queues, and when I think back to how amazing that is and how wanky-fiedly dumbed down bell-endish this game is, I just want to fucking throw me bell at it, you know. But then I look at what's been out in the last 15 years and I think, oh, this is probably one of the best ones. It's such a shame. It's such a shame that games are so wank nowadays compared to the good old days. And they fucking were, though. That's the thing, they fucking were. I proved that with Half-Life. And I can prove this again by installing Settlers 3 and doing a full... I should. So there you go, guys. I don't even know what that was. That was my wab on Northgard. And I don't know whether to thumb it up or down now. Look, it's a fun game. How much is it? It's in early access, $14.99. I'm going to have to say, guys, because the gaming industry is so shit, with so many talentless fucking people out there releasing games, that because there's no competition for this at all, like none, I'm going to thumb it up. That's pretty much the way things are in the, that I'm thumbing up this. Do you know what? Do you know what, guys? Back in 1996, when I was playing Settlers 3, 1997, that time, if someone TARDISed back in time to me, sitting at home playing that game, and says, hey, you like Settlers 3? Oh yeah, I love it. It's me. I used this comparison the other day in a video, but it's so apt. If they had said to me, well, do you want to come forward into the future to 2017 and see the kind of game based on this genre that we've got in 2017 on these amazing PCs? Oh yeah, please show me. Oh my goodness, this is going to be awesome. And then I was shown this. I would actually kick the time traveller so hard in the bollocks that they'd come out of his mouth. That's how disgusted I would be. It's the devolution of the gaming industry. It's right here. I changed